You've probably come across labels on pet food before that will say things like kitten food, puppy food, or a senior formula. But are these actually necessary, or is it simply a clever marketing gimmick? I'm Dr. M. Welcome to BMC. Today we are going to be tackling the topic on when it's important to feed a specific life stage pet food to your cat or dog, and when it's not important and you don't have to. So join me, you'll learn something today. So here's the thing, feeding the wrong pet food to your animal can be exceptionally harmful to their health, and there are a number of common mistakes that I see clients doing in practice. So I'm going to be breaking it down to help clear up any confusion and to make it simple and easy for you to understand what's important. So first, we need to define what life stage pet food actually means. The AAFCO does have legal definitions regarding growth, pregnancy lactation, maintenance, and they also have a category that's called all life stages. Now, different quantities and ratios of different nutrients will be legally required for these different formulas. Note that senior is not a legally recognized life stage for cat and dog pet food. So any pet food that's labeled as a senior diet is only using a marketing term. They will not have any required micronutrient profiles within that specific formula. Most of those formulas meet the maintenance formula guidelines. Some of the most common mistakes that I'll see is that people will end up feeding a growth formula forever. This can often result in an animal that is overweight or obese because the growth formulas will be a lot more calorie dense on average. But conversely, I will also have a lot of clients that will have a large or a giant breed puppy, and they will have been told from somewhere that they should not feed a puppy formula, but that they need to feed an adult formula. This is completely incorrect. This is old information, and this is a recommendation that's from a while before I even went into vet school, when we didn't have growth puppy formulas for different breed sizes. Now, if you are looking at a research-based puppy diet that meets WSAVA guidelines, the majority of them will have a small breed puppy, a medium puppy, and a large and or giant breed puppy formula. When we didn't have those, there were some situations where we might feed an adult formula to a giant breed puppy. But now that we have these specific growth formulas, feeding a large and giant breed puppy formula to a large and giant breed puppy is the current standard of care, and that is what you should be doing. When you're feeding the incorrect growth formula or not feeding a growth formula to a puppy or a kitten, they will not have the nutrients they need for their bones and joints to grow and develop as best as is possible. Of course, genetics plays a role here as well as environment and things like slippery floors, but feeding the proper nutrition gives them the best chance possible at forming healthy joints and good conformation. I will also regularly get asked, should I switch Fluffy, cat or dog, doesn't matter, to a senior diet now? And the answer is maybe. And a lot of people will just do it when the marketing on the bag has recommended them to. And this is unlikely to be harmful, but it's also often unnecessary. A meta-analysis looking at the difference between adult and senior formulas showed that in general, they are the same. Sometimes the senior formulas might have a bit different amounts of fiber in them. That's it. Reasons why people will say that they need to switch to a senior formula is because they have been told that senior pets should eat less protein, and that's not necessarily accurate or true. We need the micronutrients, the amino acids to be bioavailable to the animal, but we don't want to reduce their protein if their kidney function is healthy, because that can lead to muscle loss, which can make things like arthritis and joint pain worse, reduce fitness, and make quality of life worse. And other people will say that they need to switch to a senior diet in order to reduce weight gain for their animals. And again, this may or may not be helpful. Some senior formulas are going to be higher in caloric density than the adult formula that you're switching from. So if you're looking at weight management, you should consult with your veterinarian to figure out if an over-the-counter formula is appropriate with the amount of weight loss that your animal needs, or if a prescription weight loss diet will be better for your individual pet. And some animals will have a harder time keeping weight on when they're older. So for them, they might have the opposite needs. This is why switching to a senior formula is not a one-size-fits-all sort of a situation, because the needs of all of these individual animals vary so dramatically. So if your senior cat or dog is healthy and they're an ideal body condition score, and you're feeding a properly formulated diet that's research-based and that meets all of the WSAVA guidelines, you probably don't have any reason or need to switch them to anything else. So how do you pick what the best nutrition is for your individual cat or dog? We need to consider a number of different things here. First and foremost, you need to be looking at research-based formulas that are properly formulated and that meet every single one of the WSAVA guidelines. So start there. However, that still leaves you with hundreds of options. So we need to narrow it down further. If you have a puppy or kitten, they will need a growth formula. Once they are adults and are no longer growing, then they will need a maintenance formula. I tend to steer people away from the all life stages options because those ones tend to be very high in calories in order to meet the needs of any and every animal. I would consider those for, say, if we have a pregnant dog or cat, and then we're also trying to expose the puppies and kittens to a pet food as they start weaning. Or if you have an incredibly active working dog that's struggling to keep weight on, in that situation, we might need a higher calorie density option. Basically, an all life stages diet tends not to have specific enough nutrition to be optimal for the majority of cats and dogs. After we've narrowed it down via those criteria, the next thing that we need to look at is the individual animal that's in front of us. We need to be considering the activity of that animal. We need to consider any health conditions they may or may not have. We need to consider their body condition score. Are they too thin, just right, overweight? Do they gain weight super easily, or are they harder to keep weight on? Now, if your animal has health conditions like kidney disease, liver issues, urinary health problems, the list goes on, you should always consult them to check about whether a prescription formula diet will be best suiting your pet's needs. But assuming that they don't have a diet that requires prescription nutrition, then you start to consider things like, what's the calorie density of this diet? Will this be enough volume to help my animal feel full? Or will it be so much that they won't want to eat it all? Can I easily access this diet? If I run out on a Friday night of pet food because something happens, can I grab more easily to feed my animals? You also need to consider budget. And only after all of those things do we start looking at factors like, is there anything that might help a particular breed that you might have, say for certain breeds that are more likely to have abnormal dentition? Some of those will benefit from a specific kibble shape that's easier to pick up and chew and swallow. We might also have different kibble sizes that might be appropriate for different sizes of animals. We may also be thinking about, say for my Labrador, I use a diet that has some additional omega fatty acids in it to help maintain joint health. Do we have an animal that's going to be more likely to have a specific issue over another that we can target with some more specific nutrition? In general, the more targeted nutrition is going to cost a bit more. So if that's not possible, then you will feed a research-based, properly formulated diet that meets WSAVA guidelines, and that's within your budget. And that's great. So in conclusion, do life stage diets matter? Well, sometimes yes, and sometimes no. For puppies and kittens, absolutely yes. You need to be feeding growth formulas to puppies and kittens, period. It's also very important that you feed cats cat food and dogs dog food. Their micronutrient needs are quite different, and you should not be feeding them a diet that's meant for a different species. You need to feed a species-specific formula. That said, if your animal is thriving on a specific adult diet and they are aging, but they're maintaining weight well, they don't have any health concerns that warrant a prescription diet, they are eating well, everything's going fine, there is no need to blend over to a senior diet in these cases. We want to make sure that we're making the best decision for each individual pet based on the research and science that we have in pet nutrition, and that we aren't just blindly reaching for the one formula that seems to have the best marketing. I'm also going to add a reminder here that you should not be adding supplements to your cat or dog's diet unless your veterinarian has made a specific recommendation for a specific product and a specific dose. When you are feeding a research-based diet that is properly formulated with objective criteria that meets WSAVA guidelines, there is no need to add supplements willy-nilly. These, in fact, can be harmful. I'll cover the topic of supplements in more detail in a future video. It's currently in the script writing process. I'm almost done it. So if you have any questions about that video, make sure to leave them in the comments below and I'll make sure I address them in the future video. If you've enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking the video and subscribing if you haven't already. I love to hear questions from you. Feel free to leave them in the comments section. And if you're wanting additional information in the realm of pet nutrition, I have some previous videos on the topic and I'll make sure they're linked in the video description for you. I hope that you and your pets are well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.